Shawn Waggoner with Wilderness Systems Pro Staff. Today we're going to review the Thresher 155 and the Thresher 140. There's been a couple of individual reviews on either the 140 or the 155. So today I wanted to walk through the features and compare the 140 to the 155 and talk about where the differences are. So we're going to start at the bow and work our way back. So at the bow and the stern of the Thresher are big molded in handles, not cloth or fabric, just molded in heavy duty plastic. So you're not going to snag anything on them, and you're really going to be able to pick the boat up and handle it, pretty easily. Down both the front and the back sides is the new safety reflective ribbon that if you want to attach gear to it. Fish bag for the front, you can take it, clip it on. It is reflective, so at nighttime or limited light, it does help illuminate the boat a little bit. Then you've got the large bow hatch and bow hood here. Very large. It has 2 scupper holes in the bottom with scupper plugs, so this way you can seal it up and keep it dry, use it for dry storage, or if you're just using it for other areas and it might get wet, going through bigger water, you can pull the scupper plugs out and it definitely will drain. On top of the bow hood here, you have the paddle park. So if you have a paddle, you can just slide that right underneath and stow it. Big heavy duty rubber latches, for securing it and tying it down. Getting to this is pretty easy. You can either just lean forward, maybe up on your knees depending on your balance, or what some people will do is actually just put their legs on either side and just shimmy up a little bit. But getting to this in this particular boat, it's very stable and it's easy to get up here. Behind the bow hatch is the new FlexPod OS. So the OS is oversized. So this is where you can keep your forward electronics, your depth finder, fish finder, GPS combos. Has room on the bottom for mounting your transducer electronics on the top, and inside is where you would stow your battery and all the wires. So it's completely self-contained. There is inside here a recessed area that allows a transducer clear line of sight to the bottom, completely unobstructed. But the hull of the boat actually comes down further so that the transducer is protected. So if you do get over some rocks or an oyster bed, some area where you're going to hit some sort of obstruction coming in, the transducer is fully protected. So it's a really nice design, the fact that you can protect the transducer and still have clear line of sight to the bottom. And it secures down 2 big heavy duty latches, so it will not come out. You can roll over, get through big surf. Everything is fully secured in here. The foot controls are the new foot controls with the toe controls for the rudder. So instead of the traditional slide tracks where your feet will go in and out to control the rudder, with the toe controls, it's more like a gas pedal. You just rotate your feet forward and you turn the rudder left to right. On either side of the Thresher, you've got built-in gear track, and there's also gear track behind the seat around the rear tank well. The center hatch, big oversized center hatch as well, has gear track in the front, so you can mount either another rod holder, more electronics, lots of different options. Adjustable bungee cord, you can slide things underneath this. This is really, really handy. Slide a VHF or tools, or pliers you can put underneath that bungee and hold it while you're on the water. So the nice big oversized hatch access in, and there's actually a rod holder that's available from Harmony that secures down in here. So when you're coming back in through heavier waves through the surf, you just slide the rods down inside, snap them into the rod holders, and then close up the hatch, and then you're ready to go. So between the front hatch with the FlexPod OS and the center hatch, you can pretty much secure all of your tackle, electronics, your rods, and really have nothing loose inside of the kayak getting through surf and big water. On either side in front of the seat, you've got little storage compartments, protected here as well, so you can slide stuff underneath. It'll stay captive. So next is the seat. This is the Air Pro Phase 3 seat from Wilderness. You have thigh controls to control the front for height. You've got a strap here that helps control the height of the seat back, and then the cinch straps on the side for controlling fore and aft. So the seat is very, very adjustable. You can just control the straps, adjust it down. If the seat is too high, pull the strap here, cinches it down. So you really have full control over the seat, where you want the support on your back, and there's plenty of room underneath. So any water does get in the boat, it just goes right down into here, and it definitely stays very, very dry. So behind the seat, you've got plenty of area here to mount flush mount rod holders in multiple configurations, whether you just want a single or you want to put a couple of them in there. You've got options to completely customize, this rear deck area behind the seat in the Thresher. Additional gear track we talked about earlier, adjustable bungees, you can loosen these up, adjust this as needed. Inside the tank well, you have these very solid tie downs with the strap that's adjustable, and you can put your cooler, tackle box, other gear back here, cinch this down and really lock in whatever equipment that you have here in the rear tank well. On the 155, it's very much an extended tank well. Moving further to the back, you've got the rear handle, then you've got the rudder here. Release the rudder, you've got your control lines, deploy the rudder, you're ready to go. So now let's talk about the differences between the 140 and the 155. So the 155 is 15 feet 6 inches long, where the 140 is 14 feet 3 inches long. The width on the two, the 140 has a 28 3/4 inch width, and this is 30 inches. So it's about 1.25 inches wider than the 140. On the 155, you've got about 6-7 inches extra space here between the front of the bow hatch and the front handle. You can see the differences here where some of that space is made up. Coming back, they're very much equal. You do have an extra 1 to 1.5 inch distance between the seat and the center hatch on the 155 over the 140. You can see the gap. The leg room is going to be the same in either one, so even if you're tall, long-legged, like myself, you still have plenty of leg room in either boat. Working our way back, the other big difference between the 155 and the 140 is in the rear tank well. You've got about another 6-7 inches stretch tank well on the 155, so you have a little extra storage capacity there over the 140. So the 140 is a touch narrower, a little shorter. It's also a little bit lighter at 75 pounds. The 155 is 80 pounds. Now, how that's going to translate to capacity on the water, the 140 has a capacity of 400 pounds and the 155 is 450 pounds. Next, we're going to get them both on the water and we're going to paddle both of them. Surprising. So earlier we talked about the FlexPod OS and how the transducer, when you mount on the bottom, is protected on the hull. Here we've got the boat up on its side, and you can see this area here underneath the hull. And the black, this is the bottom of the FlexPod OS. So even if your transducer is mounted down, even one of the larger ones with the down imaging, or you still have lots and lots of room, and it's going to be protected no matter what you go over. So this is that recessed area that sits in the bottom of the hull. So now we've had a chance to paddle both the 140 and the 155. There's definitely a couple of unique things to each of the boats. Both of them are just incredibly well laid out and great fishing kayaks. The 155, while paddling, I was able to actually average just a little over 5 miles an hour, about 5.2, according to the GPS. Now on the 140, we were averaging about 4.5 to 4.6 miles an hour. Top speed, I was able to get just a little over 6 miles an hour with the 155. So given the longer hull, the longer length of the water line on the 155, it's definitely a little faster overall. It's a little wider. Now the 140, being a little shorter, a little narrower, was more nimble. It was easier to turn. It was easier to handle overall. Now the 155 was definitely very easy to turn, but the 140 was a little easier overall. Now, one of the things I noticed is, being a bigger individual like myself, the 155, that extra capacity, that extra 50 pounds, kept the 155 a little higher out of the water, so it didn't have as much bow wake at higher speeds. The 140, being a little lower in, I was pushing a little more water on the bow, and that could have attributed to the overall speed. So if you have a little extra gear, or you're a larger individual such as myself, you really want to take a look at the 155. The 140, all around great kayak. Extra capacity and want that extra flotation, particularly out there on the ocean, the big water, look at the 155. So thanks for watching the video. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you'd like to get more information, go to wildernesssystems.com.